this field that I'm in is because I've always had a deep desire and instinct to understand human behavior, to understand motivation behind our actions, to understand our interpersonal relationships, why we feel the way we feel, how we feel the way we feel. I always really wanted to do therapy and help people heal. So what led me to do this podcast is a combination of all the different roles that I've had and the journey that I'm on, coupled with what's happening in our world right now. This episode is being recorded August 2020, and we're still in the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic. We're still in the midst of fighting for racial equality and social justice around police brutality against Black people. And we're still fighting systemic racism. It's very real, and it hits us in many ways that we don't even realize, all of us. So we have to keep evolving. We have to keep adapting. We have to keep pivoting and changing in this world, not only to sustain, but to really thrive. In addition to all of the world drama and trauma that we're going through, we all have our own personal stressors. I personally, of all the roles that I mentioned, the most important role that I've had is to be a mother to 2 girls, to be a wife. I've been a wife for 23 years. And where we are as a family, where I am as an individual, although it may be good stuff, it's growth pains, it's growing pains. Getting ready to be an empty nester, that's real. And sending your children, your daughters, out into this world is scary. So between the world issues and our personal stressors, these things, whether we realize it or not, they take a toll on us. They take a toll on our mind, our body, and our soul. And so this podcast is all about helping us get the healing that we need and get on the next level. It's about having fun while we do it. So every show will have a drink or 2. And I know everybody does not drink adult beverages or alcohol, and that's more than okay. You can join us too, because all the drinks that we feature, you can have with or without alcohol, okay? And the main thing about it is that it'll be something with good ingredients, because we want to make sure we're building our immunity and we're eating food to sustain us and build our immunities. That's a part of healing. So today's drink, ironically enough, is actually water. Water. Water with lemon. It does wonderful things for the soul. No, it's not an alcoholic beverage, but it's a necessary beverage, and it just happens to be what I have today. So cheers. All right, so let's try that. Everybody have some water and lemon with me today. We'll have something else next time. So whether you are watching, whether you have comments, or whether you want to actually be a guest on the show, all are welcome. And I'll tell you later how to contact me. But first, I just kind of want to talk a little bit more about what you'll get from the show. Aside from having some fun, laughs, you're going to get the featured drink and a healthy snack on every episode, something that's kind of easy or quick to make. You're also going to get subject matter experts. I'm going to have people on the show who will help us in all the different areas of our lives, right? It's a full circle. And if we can get this full circle together, we'll be empowered, right? That's one of my favorite things, full circle empowerment. But when I talk about a full circle and all the different areas of our lives that we're going to get information on, I'm talking about emotional, obviously. That's my focus and my expertise. And I'll have some other people with that same expertise on the show. And financial, right? It's important for us to know what we need to do for ourselves individually and collectively, financially, physically, right? The food and the drinks, that's an aspect of physical health, but also exercising, meditation, just simply movement, stretches, and specific things that people might need more information on. We'll talk about spirituality and what that looks like and things that people can do to help them build or sustain their spirituality. We'll talk about vocation, right? Whether it's career, job, or school. That's a huge part of the wheel or the circle. And personal, right? We all have some personal things that we're going through. We all have traumas, whether it's big traumas like this pandemic, or whether it's small traumas like microaggressions or teasing or things like that, that you didn't even know had an impact on you. And interpersonal relationships and how we can have good interpersonal relationships and the type of people we should want to have relationships with based off of who we are and what we want and what's healthy for us. So those are all the areas of the circle. And we're going to talk about those with our guest experts. Like I said, I'm a licensed social worker, a therapist, and I'm excited to bring this podcast, but I'm also really excited to have people who are subject matter experts in their particular area. We'll have people on who are family and friends of mine who have information that they can share, experiences that we'll process that maybe you've also had and can relate to. And really and truly, it's an adult show. However, we don't want to leave anyone out because this is about individual, couple, family connections, ultimately having a positive impact on our communities. And so the children or the youth will be invited. We'll have special youth guests that speak, and I'll let you in advance so that you can invite your children or the young people in your life. But for the most part, it'll be adult content, adult conversation, happy hour, okay? So the idea of living a life that you don't feel you need to take a vacation from is where we are. All those different areas of our lives. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to have already met our goals, but we're going to talk about goals, getting on another level, and how to really approach them in a way that doesn't overwhelm us and helps us move forward and keep evolving. I'm a regular woman, the regular life, and throughout these podcasts, you'll hear regular household things. So just stay with me, all right? You guys, one of the main things for me about this podcast is making myself vulnerable, because that's going to help me get to the next level. I'm a very private person, and I like to share with the people that are close to me. So doing this is really taking me out of my comfort zone, but it's my personal goal and mission to help others, help myself, and help sustain us and help us thrive through this crazy world we're living in. So just to share a little bit more about me, I feel like I've been in all regions of our country here in America. I was born in California. I was raised in Kansas City, Missouri. I went to school in Florida, and I've been living in New Jersey since 1996. So I feel like I hit all the corners. But my story is really just one of a young girl who grew up in the Midwest and went to Catholic school all her life in the inner city. I grew up in the hood, and my mom actually was living in California and married to my biological father. That didn't work out. She got up like strong women do. And even if you don't get up, doesn't make you not strong. But she left. It wasn't what she wanted, and she left. And she remarried when I was little. It was probably about 3. She remarried my dad, who I grew up with. And I have a younger sister. I had a very loving family in terms of closeness, right? So we worked together, we ate together, we did things together, but I wasn't spared from trauma. My parents worked hard and did what they could for their children. Like I said, they put us through Catholic school, private school to make sure we got a decent education. And they've always really supported us. But not having or knowing my biological father has always been a source of emptiness, wonderment, disconnection. Even though I was very blessed to have a dad in my home, I still didn't know my biological father. So that's something that we'll talk about on the show, because I think that a lot of us experience that and everybody has different response to that. And I think we've gotten more in tune with it as we've evolved as a culture, because I think back in the day, it was more like, okay, you keep it moving. You keep it moving. And I'm sure that's due to the effects of us being enslaved and our families being broken apart. So we normalize trauma, right? So a lot of things that might seem normal are traumatic, and it doesn't mean that you have to have a trauma response. Some people are extremely resilient, and we'll talk about what that means too, because there's trauma even in resilience. But some folks aren't as affected as others, or they're affected differently, and it's all okay. It's all normal. But we're going to process some of that while we have happy hour and drinks, while we have our guest on. And yeah, we're going to keep it real, right? So now, from Kansas City, going to Catholic school, to Florida A&M University. Yes, that's my alma mater. I love me some FAMU, and I've made great sister friends and met my husband there. So I graduated from FAMU in 1996, and I went home to Kansas City. And I knew that would be a brief time because I always instinctually wanted to be a therapist. It wasn't because I had therapists or psychology or psychologists in my life. It was just my internal drive, my internal instinct. And so when I went to FAMU, they told us, listen, if you want to be a psychologist, you're going to have to go to graduate school. You're going to have to do theses. You're going to have to do all these things. They wanted to make sure we knew, like, oh, I'm majoring in psychology, so I'm going to be a psychologist. No, it doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of us knew that. But having that conversation was integral and so important for them to help us set our expectations around our goals. And I'm grateful for that whole experience. But like I said, I left right after I graduated. When you're in school and you're young and you've been in a small town, you're ready to go. You're ready to see the world. You're ready to get out there. And that's what I did. Went home for a very small period of time. My now husband, then boyfriend, had a full scholarship to law school. So it's really hard for me to convince him to come to Kansas City when his law school was in New Jersey. So he got a one-way ticket, flew to Kansas City, helped me pack my little belongings, and we got in my Toyota Tercel and drove all the way from Kansas City to New Jersey, and I've been here ever since. So, got here, started working. That was my main thing. I wanted to be able to work and provide for myself. Yes, we were shacking up, but I wanted to be able to provide for myself. That was always important for me. That's what I saw growing up, and that's what was instilled in me. So I got a job working for an organization in Montclair, New Jersey, and East Orange, New Jersey, were their two locations, and met some great people there and had some great experiences. And a lot of them there were applying for a master's in social work. So I thought I'd try it too, even though I was still focused on psychology. And at the same time, I was pregnant. Isn't that what happens, right? We live together, we end up getting pregnant. So me and my husband were excited. We weren't married at the time, but we were excited about the fact that we were about to bring life into the world. And we got married wait, let me back up. We got a house, we got married, and we had a baby, and we changed careers, I guess you could say, because we had to change jobs because we relocated to South Jersey. So that's a lot of major things that happened in a very short amount of time for us. And we've gone through a lot of different growing pains. We're still together, still together, and still loving each other, and still loving our children, and trying to do the best we can by them, just like everybody else out here. So we're going to talk about all of these day-to-day life things, growing pains, stressors, happy times, in a broad sense. So I just wanted to share a little bit more about me and who I am. I like to laugh. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. I love to laugh and be silly. And so that's why this podcast is Kick Back and Heal Holistic Happy Hour for Black people. So I feel good now that I've opened myself up to you. I'll continue to do that and bring you some good guests and some good drinks. I'm just going to ask you guys to look out for the next episode that's named Beyond the Cuffs. And we're going to talk about police brutality, the psychological impact that it has, and give you some tips that hopefully help you as you navigate, if you've had to experience it or if you so experience it. And our special guest just happens to be my husband, Shannon Bogan. He's experienced it. He's experienced police brutality, as have I. And he's also happens to be an attorney. So I look forward to my conversation with Shannon. And I'm going to ask you guys now to give me some feedback. You can follow me at Kickback and Heal on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And I'm just going to ask you to rate this. Rate it, review it, this one and all the episodes if you can. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I look forward to Healing Happy Hour with you. So until next time, take care of yourself and take care of each other. Thank you for watching. Peace.